The first time you see the Okavango Delta in Botswana, Southern Africa, it takes your breath away. It's one of the most beautiful, untouched ecosystems on this planet. I've travelled to many parts of the planet, many parts of the globe, seen some amazing things, but the Okavango is truly special. The Okavango Delta is a seasonal waterway. It's established as summer rains fall in the highlands of Angola. These rains form the Quinto and the Okavango rivers, and they merge together and cut across the Caprivi Strip in Namibia before entering northern Botswana. In an area known as the Panhandle, the river twists and turns amongst dense papyrus walls before it fans out into the largest inland delta on the planet. Recently, RPMP Media was lucky enough to take a film crew to the Okavango. Our objective was to film a kayaking expedition with a leadership development company called Peak Teams.
Because of this river closing at Hippo.
The aim of the trip was to paddle over 300 miles from the small town of Shikawi all the way through the Panhandle, through the Delta to Mound, and capture the journey along the way. As the director of cinematography before the expedition, I was thinking about all the unique, captivating ways we could actually capture this kayaking expedition. And so we bought some pretty cool tools. You know, we had some GoPro cameras for the kayaks, we had 7D DSLRs, and we bought a very unique filming platform called an Ocotocopter. It's an 8-bladed radio-controlled helicopter, and it takes 2 people to operate. One person is the pilot of the helicopter and the other person is the cameraman. We strap a camera to the base of this helicopter on a gimbal, and we can literally fly the camera into position and get some amazing shots. And this was the first time RPMP had used a platform like this, and so I remember being very excited about it, but at the same time quite nervous about what results it could actually produce. After 30 hours of travel, we arrived in Shikawi, and I remember waking up to one of the most spectacular sunrises. The light was reflecting gold off the fast-flowing water, and that's when I knew that this trip was going to be pretty special. The seasonal flood was at its peak, and our objective was to focus not just on the kayaks, but on the environment, the wildlife, and the people of the Okavango.
We're all very keen to get going, but there's no question that there's a bit of nervous energy around there.
I just hope I don't encounter any hippos. But no, I've got a bit of a she'll be right attitude. I mean, I've got a great support crew. We'll be right.
Rexy.
How you doing, mate?
Good, mate.
You excited?
Pumped.
The first part of the expedition is paddling through the Panhandle. It's a fast-flowing river system walled either side by large papyrus plants. It looks tame, but it's what you can't see that really worries you. The Panhandle has an enormous population of very territorial Nile crocodile. These crocodile can be up to 5 meters in length.
That is a huge crocodile. Oh God! In the water!
And it makes it very interesting when you're trying to paddle.
Big one, and I gotta film at the same time.
You're trying to film the expedition, and you know, a 5-meter crocodile enters the water close by.
Wow, he's swimming. You try and film the other boats, but then you get behind, and then you become the crocodile bait.
Before you enter the main delta system, the channels narrow significantly to the point where they're not much wider than your kayak. And this area made for some great, really beautiful, tight, intimate shooting. However, the real dangers of hippo and crocodile are very apparent. We could often hear them calling close by, and hippos are rumoured to kill more humans than any other animal in Africa.
Really narrow. A little scary because the crocs will probably love this area.
When you come out of the narrow channels, suddenly the Panhandle opens up and it fans out into the Delta. And that's where we came across the Kittera sandbanks. It was one of the most spectacular places I'd ever seen, and thus one of the most spectacular places to film.
Nice.
At Kittera Camp, the Ocotocopter showed its true potential. We captured some stunning footage at sunset of a baobab tree and the natural harbour with the kayaks. On any expedition, you have to take some risk. You know, despite the real threat of crocodile and hippo, getting into the water for me was an easy decision. It just had to be done.
We'll just do 10 minutes of shooting, and then we'll come back in.
Filming from the surface of the Delta is one thing, but filming underneath and getting a glimpse into another world, that's another. And it was worth the risk.
Filming in Africa.
Filming underwater allowed us to identify underwater pathways that animals create. And it was fascinating when we found a hippo trail. It was quite fresh. And I was able to follow the trail with the camera because people were watching out for me on the boat. And as I followed the trail, the water in front of me became quite murky, and at that point I thought, you know what, it's probably a good idea that I get back on the boat. Almost right away we spotted 2 hippos in the pool ahead. 2 hippos from the ground is very different than what we saw from the air. As soon as we put the Ocotocopter up, there was a whole raft of hippos and young, and we got some amazing, amazing footage. The Ocotocopter is an amazing tool. You know, it's quiet enough to get very close to the animals and nimble enough to place it exactly in the right position to get the shot. Later that day we came across a breeding herd of elephant. From the ground it looked very different from the air. From the air we could clearly see the whole herd and we could see the young amongst the adults. It was pretty special. With the right people, the right location and the right tools, magic can happen. Part of our objective was to film not only the kayaks and the wildlife, but also the local people that have lived off the Delta for many years. And we were lucky enough to meet the Bai people. The Okavango has supported their life and their lifestyle for over 500 years.
Well, we've arrived on Juga Juga Island.
Juku Juku.
Juku Juku.
Yeah.
Juku Juku.
Yeah.
We've arrived on Juku Juku Island, which is about 10 k's downstream from where we slept last night.
We're going to be mukoroing today, which is the traditional form of moving around here. It's their ability to go through reeds and very shallow water on these wooden boats.
Our guides poled us across the floodplains towards a village called Kakaba. We were surprised at how quickly and efficiently the Makurus travelled, even faster than the kayaks. It's a very effective method of transport in the delta and across the shallow floodplains. Kakaba touched me personally. It's a very isolated village. There's no roads to the village at all, and it's completely surrounded by water. Traditionally, the Bayai people have lived completely off the land. They've done that for over 500 years. But now, ecotourism is really changing the way they live. The government in the 60s changed the whole area to be a game reserve, and now hunting is considered poaching. And so the people have had to adapt and come up with ways to, survive around the ecotourism. From the ground, the village looks very different from the air. From the air, we could clearly see things from a different perspective. It allowed us to identify a lot of the patterns of life in the village. What RPMP really wants to do is show people what they haven't seen before by shooting the world's most interesting and unique environments and doing it in an engaging and inspirational way. We want to bring amazing stories to life and share them with the world. Many people say travelling to the Okavango Delta is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Not for RPMP Media. We will go back, and I'm sure when we go back, it will take our breath away once again.